Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast today. These podcasts are brought to you in part by our sponsors, who really truly are what make these podcasts possible every week. O'Fallon Nutrition is a company that I've worked with for over 15 years. They're independently owned and operated, located here in O'Fallon, Missouri, right off of Highway K and Mexico Road. I call this place the Whole Foods of St. Charles County, but even if you are not located on this side of the river, it is still worth the drive. I can remember working all the way down at Powerhouse and still sending people out to O'Fallon Nutrition for their supplements. They are more than a supplement company. You can get grass-fed beef, salad dressing, seasoning for your cooking, hair care products, makeup, deodorant, toothpaste, essential oils, and all the vitamins and minerals that you can think of. If you're looking for clean, whole food nutrition, as well as home care, house care, skincare products, O'Fallon Nutrition is your place. You can take a look at them at o'fallonnutrition.com, or if you'd like to have something shipped, if you're listening to me from outside of St. Louis, you can certainly have items shipped. I know they do free shipping if it's an order over $50, and the phone number is 636-240-5283. Again, it's o'fallonnutrition.com. As well as if preparing your food on a weekly basis is your primary excuse for why you're not able to stay on a good, clean eating program, which is something that I hear very regularly from my clients, I would ask you to please take the time to check out Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com. They are a phenomenal place. We get our food from there during the week. They deliver to our Integrity location. They will deliver to your house. They also are just available for pickup. You can go to their Chesterfield location or their Kirkwood location and just pick up meals for the day, as well as just having them delivered right to your door. So if preparing your food is your main excuse for why you cannot stay on a healthy eating program, then I would suggest just stop by Pure Plates. Just try it. If you're trying to lower your blood pressure, you're trying to lower your cholesterol, you're trying to get your blood sugar down, try to do Pure Plates meals for a week and just see how different you feel. These are organic meals. They are gluten-free. If you need them to be, they can be dairy-free. They are soy-free. You're not taking any processed sugars or meat-curing agents or preservatives. They really, truly believe in nutrient-dense meals that are just whole food nutrition. And I've had my clients, or I've made recommendations for my clients for years at Pure Plates. It's pureplatesstl.com, or you can call them to ask questions at 636-778-3555. Again, remembering that they have a location in Chesterfield as well as in Kirkwood that you can just run by and pick up a meal today. Everyone always asks me where I get my meat from, and given that I really eat meat on a daily basis, typically beef primarily, my meat is very important to me. I have an autoimmune condition and I want grain-free, corn-free meat, and I just haven't found the confidence in stores in knowing that I'm getting 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And I have searched and searched and searched for the right farm, and I have found the farm. It's fedfromthefarm.com, fed, F-E-D, from thefarm.com. These farmers are amazing. It's a family. They're here in Missouri, and they have the desire, just like I do, to see people well and to see people healthy, and they put a lot into what they do. It's such a wonderful family to support. They do offer 100% grass-finished, grass-fed, meaning that's it. A beef, and I get my ribeyes, I get my ground beef, my ground sirloin, I get my chuck roast. I mean, they basically have everything. They even have awesome jerky, but they also have eggs, they have chickens, and they have turkey. I'm planning on getting a turkey for Thanksgiving, and if you'd like lamb, they have that as well. But if you are in need of good quality grass-fed, grass-finished beef, or quality eggs, chicken, turkey, don't just settle for what you're getting at the local store. to go out on the internet and check out Fed from the Farm. That you can arrange a pickup or you can have it delivered to your home. And I can guarantee you're going to taste the difference. For me, my health actually depends on it. So I really thank God to have found such a great farmer. Fedfromthefarm.com. I hope it blesses you.
Welcome to Faith, Fuel, and Fitness, the Integrity Way, with your hosts, John and Debbie Morris from Integrity Training Systems.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. We're so happy to have you back this week. If you're tuning in new with us, we like to call our show the Warrior Show, and we always start the first segment by giving you the definition of what a warrior is. A warrior, by definition, is a brave or experienced soldier or fighter. I think it's important to pay attention to those ors, because brave or experienced means that you do not have to be brave. You can just be experienced. And a soldier, you may not be in the Army, you might not have actively been a soldier in any time in your life, but you probably have been a fighter if you've overcome something. So if you are considering yourself experienced and you've had to fight through anything in your life, which I think we all have after being an infant, you're a warrior. And what does it mean to be a warrior? Well, once we get past the definition, it just means that you're willing to take on what life throws at you. And sometimes you may not feel like you're willing to take it on or especially capable to take it on, but you've been doing it up until now. I was actually talking to a friend of mine today, really close friend of mine, fights the same demons that I do in my head, very similar, even the way we handle it. A lot of times we fight our demons both through like physicality, like we hurt ourselves, we work out hard, we run hard, we fight, we do MMA, we do jujitsu. Like, it's just like you take yourself to that brink of like vomiting and pass out just to calm the stuff in your mind. And him and I were just talking about like, man, it's like you have these things that are going on in your mind, and it's like, how do I overcome this? Like, you get people that tell you, oh, well, read your Bible more or pray more or get in your devotional. And that's all really good stuff. Like, do all of that. But then the question becomes like, okay, well, go see a counselor. Like, how do you get your mind to feel like life's going to be okay and you can take life on? So it's like, once you get beyond all of that, you just have to realize like God has pulled you through and you've worked hard enough to get where you are. Like, multiple times in your life leading to the moment that you're currently living in, you've had the hardest thing you've ever dealt with. I mean, think about that. You may be thinking right now, this is the hardest thing I've ever dealt with. How am I going to overcome this? Well, how many times have you thought that? Was passing fifth grade the hardest thing you've ever had to deal with? Was high school so difficult and you got picked on, or you broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend and you thought you were never going to get the love ever again? Is that the hardest thing you ever had to deal with? Getting into college, was that the hardest thing you've ever had to deal with? You've done this before. So when you're looking something in the face saying like, I don't know if I can overcome this or not, this is pretty big, just remember that you've done it before. And a lot of times if you're dealing with stuff that gets repetitive and it continues to attack you and continues to assault you, and this was the conversation I had with my good friend today, you have to look beneath the surface. If you've seen the movie The Matrix, this is going to make sense to you. If not, come back in like 8 minutes when we get into the next segment. But we'll talk a little bit about The Matrix real quick. The whole point of The Matrix is you got a guy, he's living in the Matrix, the world's being ruled by robots, and he sees what we see, real life, right? So he goes to work every day, he hates his job, he's got the grind, and all of a sudden he's pulled into this realm where he's being talked to by this guy that offers him a red pill and a blue pill. One pill allows him to go back to his boring life that he absolutely hates. The other pill allows him to see beneath the surface to what the world really is, but it's going to suck. Like, it doesn't actually offer him something that's going to be better. It's not like, hey, go back to the job you hate or come here to glory and love your life. It's going to be harder and it's going to be worse. And that's pretty similar to how we actually need to choose to live our lives. And what do I mean by that? Well, when you're looping through the same stuff, I hate my job. Like, why is this so hard? Why don't I get along with my significant other? Why do I wake up every day and not feel good? Why do all these things bother me? There's something going on beneath the surface. The physical realm and the spiritual realm walk hand in hand. The Bible's very clear on that. So if it's happening in the physical world, that means it's already manifested in the spiritual world. So what are you actually fighting? Like, when you go eat the candy that makes you feel like garbage, why did you do that? What are you fighting? And what I'm going to tell you is most times it's not actually just your brain deciding it wants to do something. Most times it's not something that's actually just occurring. It's beneath the surface, and it's the enemy attempting to derail you, because his whole purpose in life is to make mankind, which is made in God's image, fall. So no matter what your religious idea is, or if you're a follower of Christ, like, you were made in his image. So his job is to make you fall and not accept him. So what you're dealing with goes a lot deeper than not liking your job. So the challenge becomes, yes, you need to do all the things that I mentioned earlier, but you also need to come to a place in your mind where you just realize, like, I have overcome life up till now, and I'm going to continue to overcome. I'm going to press into God, and I'm going to acknowledge I need to look between the lines. And it's pretty funny. I start to get mad about stuff. I used to be a rageaholic. That's actually pretty commonly known around the world. And now I'll start to, like, get pissed off about something, or I'll amp up, and I stop and I take a step back and I acknowledge it, and I actually laugh, because I'm like, there's some meme at one point, someone's like, "Not today, Satan." And I basically say that in my mind, because I'm like, I see it. You know, like, I'm not actually mad about that. Like, that's not even worth being rage-filled over. Like, that doesn't even piss me off. Why am I pissed off? Like, I don't actually want to eat sweet tarts. Why do I feel like going to the gas station and getting sweet tarts? It's an attempt to derail you. It's an attempt to make you think you're not strong enough to take it on, and you really are.
Yeah, I think that one thing 25 years of doing what we do in fitness and health, one thing that I feel that I've noticed over the years that has sort of evolved is, like, in the beginning when I started, I worked for Powerhouse Gym. I went to George Turner's gym. Like, I was in, like, some very hardcore, serious environments where people took health and fitness dead serious. I mean, there were just people that walked in and they had lettuce still coming out of their mouth. Like, they were just in it. They stretched for 30 minutes before they even thought about lifting a weight. It was just such an interesting way of approaching being healthy. Okay. And then, of course, there were the people that were not healthy also. But then as the years went by and the trends started to change, and the Cinnamon Toast Crunch came into the macro profile, and everybody was a bodybuilder, and because you did one show, now suddenly you're a coach, and, like, all of these things just started tumbling like a tumbleweed in health and fitness. I just noticed, and I'm not just talking about bodybuilding, I'm not just talking about super fit people. I just noticed in the grand scheme of things that when I would meet with people, that there was just this impression that life should be easy. Like, it shouldn't be that hard, and that we should always be sort of like seeking this easier route, or like dieting should be easy.
You know what's
Staying
funny?
healthy should be easy. There's this one fix for everything, but it's just really not. Like, it really isn't. And when I go back in my career in the beginning, no one thought anything should be easy. Like, not a single one of those people at George Turner's gym thought it should be easy.
Yes.
I mean, he basically welded the 45s to the squat bar, and if you couldn't squat that, then you didn't squat at George Turner's gym. Like, there was just no one there, no matter what age, what sex, whatever it was, that thought it should be easy.
Yeah.
And when I go into gyms now, or when I meet people now, they have this impression that your protocol and your program and everything should be like this. Like, let me just like snap, and then boom, you're going to have this weight off. And you should be able to eat cookies, and you should be able to drink alcohol, and you should be able to have dark chocolate every day. And all of these things should happen, and poof, you're just going to be healthy. But that's just not real life. And real life is actually really hard. Running a business is really hard. Having a marriage and children and all of the things in an environment that is godly is really hard. And so what you have to do is, instead of seek things that are easy and seek the easy way, you have to learn to be able to handle hard. Yeah. And you have to equip yourself to handle the hard instead of just always looking for the easy.
Well, I think you can actually choose to do it easy. I think you hit it on the head. I actually think there is an easy route. And I think that the problem is that you can do the easy route if you expect the easy results.
Right.
And then if you want the results that come on the back end of hard, you have to do the hard. There's so many quotes, everybody wants to be a beast till it comes time to do what beasts do.
Yes.
Choose your hard. And that shows a picture of like someone having a heart attack versus someone, eating green beans.
Exactly.
And it's like, so you can choose the easy route, but somehow, somewhere, all of these professionals in every industry, not just our industry, not just fitness, health, wellness, business life, coaches, it's all about like, do this little bitty bit and get this major result. And you know what? That actually works for like 1 in 100 million people.
Right.
And so what happens is they get in front of people, and we live in such a society that's so quick based, the TikTok flippy society, that they expect this incredibly quick result. They'll chase that quickness and they'll change 50 different times to 50 different things and never actually find success because they're so busy looking for success in these short things that if they actually took the time they put into all of the different things together and put it together, they probably find success in one of them.
So true. That's a really, really good point to close that, for sure. For more information on what we do at Integrity Training Systems, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, they also have turkeys right now. Take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. This is John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. We're so happy to have you. I want to get into some science this week. We haven't talked a ton of science here lately because we've just really felt it on our hearts and led by the Holy Spirit to talk a lot more about like motivation and life. And just like we said in the Warrior segment, last segment, talking about like the underlying reasons for things happening. We're going to talk a little bit more about that over the next couple segments as well, just kind of amidst this. But a lot that's been coming up in our gym, and I know Deb just recently made a post about it on social media, which usually means she's been getting it a lot as well, is why does blood sugar matter so much? Like our whole nutrition program is basically built around controlling the blood sugar and then what comes after that. So, Debbie, I'm just going to kind of turn it over to you a little bit. I'm going to let you explain why does blood sugar matter so much?
Well, the first thing, that I usually like to explain to people when I work with them on nutrition is blood sugar is kind of that first approach to controlling inflammation. So if your blood sugar is bouncing all over the place, then you're having blood sugar spikes. And when you have a blood sugar spike, that's when the body actually creates inflammation. So I always say if you're spiking your blood sugar, you want to think of it as if someone stuck a gun in your mouth. They shot the gun off, and there's a bullet bouncing around inside your body like a pinball, and it's bruising you on the inside. And that bruising, that internal bruising, is inflammation. And the body will retain water because of that inflammatory response. And so when we eat, if we're not eating balanced, then we can rapidly increase blood sugar. So let's just say, for example, that I think I'm doing good, and I grab a banana, and I run out the door, and I just eat the banana. It's 15 grams of fructose. So because I'm just eating that banana all by itself, it's definitely better than a donut by all means, but I'm still going to spike my blood sugar because I don't have anything to protect the blood sugar from rapidly increasing. And I also don't have anything to protect the blood sugar from rapidly decreasing. Now, if I had that banana, which I'm not necessarily suggesting, but if I had that banana with some almond butter, and then I put 20 grams of collagen in my coffee, I'm now slowing down the absorption of the sugar in the banana because I'm having a fat source and I'm having a protein source. So now the rate at which my blood sugar is increasing has decreased dramatically. And what happens is if I can look at my plate and see a very well-balanced plate, quality carbohydrates, quality protein, and quality fat, that is what's going to happen. I'm going to build my blood sugar slowly and it's going to fall slowly. And what that ends up equaling or causing is energy, balanced energy throughout your day. When it's rapid and rapid on the way down, that's quick bursts of energy, and then you collapse. And then you're looking for the coffee, you're looking for the sugar. But extended energy, 3-hour energy, 4-hour energy, is when you have that balanced plate and it builds slowly and it falls slowly. So, number one reason why we want to balance blood sugar is because it will make you have a more anti inflammatory body. You will not be creating near as much inflammation. Number two reason is because you will have balanced energy all throughout the day. Those two things combined equal a balanced brain. When you have balanced blood sugar, you end up with balanced neurotransmitter levels. Now, there's other factors to throw off your neurotransmitter levels, like any type of traumatic brain injury, any type of head injury. There are other chemical imbalances, but for the most part, when your blood sugar is balanced, your brain is balanced. When your blood sugar is out of balance, you will be irritable, you will be anxious, you might feel foggy and unfocused. You will definitely have brain fog. You may even feel depressed and just unmotivated. So then we go into that brain situation. Now, our additional reason why we care about blood sugar is because it directly relates to your cravings. So if my plate is imbalanced, I am going to have an imbalance in terms of what I desire and when I desire it. So as I'm falling off of that blood sugar, my brain's going to be smart enough to say, give me that dopamine hit, get that serotonin increased, go get the candy, go get the potatoes, go get the crackers, cookies, cakes, breads, pastas, anything to get that blood sugar right back up. You're not always going to crave meat. You're not going to always crave fat.
Most times you don't.
Right. You're going to be looking for something to rebuild that blood sugar. So cravings are very much linked to having a balanced plate. We want to make sure that if we are going to have starchy carbohydrates like potatoes, grains, sweet potatoes, quinoa, that we are definitely having fibrous vegetables with it to slow down the absorption of the sugar and those other carbohydrates, but also quality fat and quality protein, which will keep everything well balanced. And I always recommend eating your protein and your fat first, your fibrous vegetables, and then your starch in the meal. Save the starch for last. And whenever you have a starch, you are building glycogen, which is the energy source that the muscle tissue uses. So you must plan to be active on that day, because if you don't use glycogen, you don't lose glycogen. It will store as fat in the liver, raising your cholesterol, causing fatty liver disease, and then dumping into the body as body fat and just leaving you with an imbalanced body and causing you to gain weight with just the simple carbohydrate or starchy carbohydrate being had, but not adding activity to it. Whenever you have a starchy carbohydrate, plan for a workout that day, most definitely, or likely don't even have it. Always try to get up and walk for 5 to 10 minutes after every single meal that you have. That will change glucose levels as well, and it will really help to balance your blood sugar.
One thing you said that I just want to make sure people caught is that the issue with your health when it comes to blood sugar is the imbalance of a spike and the crash as well. So it's when it's not in balance is what you're saying. So the spike is the initial consumption. That is the glycemic index being too high for what you're consuming in your meal or your plate there. So there's the spike that happens at the top of that, the top of the graph, and then there's the crash that happens at the bottom of that. So when you allow yourself to spike and you don't eat something before the crash happens, which I think is pretty common. People don't think I need to go eat something else until they feel like crap. Right. And then like, oh, I got to eat something else now. You've actually just not done yourself two favors. So you've had something hit you in the consumption on the way up, and you've had something hit you on the fall, and both are negative. So every time you do that, you have two negative times within that food. So that's just furthering that inflammation and that feeling not well, all of the symptoms you said.
It really is. Of course, ingredients cause inflammation. And so it's going to be important to care about your ingredients. If you have pro-inflammatory ingredients, you're creating inflammation. Even if you have the most balanced plate that you've ever seen in your life, but it's full of bad ingredients, then, if it's injected chicken with a sauce on top of it, if the, broccoli has, fake cheese on top of it and bread, Ritz cracker crumbs, if all of it fits into a macronutrient profile, but it has bad ingredients, you're creating inflammation. That's, of course, another way to create inflammation, but blood sugar spikes are also a great way to create inflammation. So you really want to make sure that you're well balanced. That's your first effort to decrease inflammation in the body, an anti-inflammatory approach to eating. For more information on an anti-inflammatory approach to eating and what we do at Integrity Training Systems, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery to you, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. We were talking last segment a lot about blood sugar, and Deb at the end started to mention the health benefits of controlling your blood sugar and, getting through depression, anxiety, diabetes, all these different health issues. And you kind of briefly touched something that I think people use as excuses. And it's not, the thing about an excuse is a lot of people think when they use the word excuse, it means like you're a liar. And that's not what an excuse is. Now, you can lie and make up an excuse, but excuses are usually rooted in some amount of truth, just like humor. Like there's something true about it that gets us talking about it. So if you're like,
probably are busy. You probably
or I can't do that because my back hurts. Your back probably hurts, but is it actually making you not able to do that? It will be harder. And so you mentioned okay, well, you can have neurological issues. Well, I can speak to this one very, very plainly. I have definite neurological issues. I've had more than 12 charted concussions. I've got the traumatic brain injuries on type of bipolarism-like symptoms. I have a physiological, visible PTSD burn in my brain that you can see through all of the scans we did through the Amen Clinic. And so neurology, being a problem, is definitely something I'm familiar with. And what I will say is to use that as the reason that I might as well not eat clean is stupid. I have these neurological issues. I've had traumatic brain injuries. I'm bipolar. You don't understand. No, we do understand. What I'm telling you is you can't control being bipolar. You can't control the neurology of that. We're not doctors. I'm not going to claim to tell you how to control that. You can't control healing your brain through traumatic brain injuries. You might actually have some trauma that's going to stick around. Control the elements you can control, though. This is where excuses become excuses. When you allow the excuse to prevent you from controlling what's actually within your control, you're losing. So what can I do? All right, I can't revert the 12 to 20 concussions I've got. I can't revert that. I can't be born with a different genetic predisposition. I can't rewrite the heart attack that I've had. But what I can do is control what I eat now so that all of those negative things that I have had happen or could continue to have to deal with are under some level of restraint, some level of control, something I'm in control of. And I always find it fascinating. People will say that's why they don't want to eat clean, is because they don't want to be told what they have to do and they don't want to feel like they're out of control. Well, guess what? When you have to eat something, when you say, I have to have my red wine, I have to have my dark chocolate, I have to, you're not in control. The food is in control. You're just not giving control to someone else to tell you what to do. They're trying to help you. You're giving control to the enemy. You're giving control to the failure. You're giving control to food. For what? Well, I should get to enjoy life. Well, you don't really get to enjoy life when you feel like crap. That's why you're here.
Right.
And so I just think that so many people lose sight of, they talk about stress. Stress is really a result of overthinking something that is outside of your control that you cannot correct, or something that is outside of your control that you cannot correct right now, or something that you need to correct or do that you're procrastinating on. That's the three leading causes to anxiety. If you actually break anxiety down, I'm not talking about clinical anxiety where it doesn't make sense. I'm talking about the anxiety that everybody in the world experiences. That's the three leading causes to that, right? So if you put yourself in a position where you have something like that going on and you're not paying attention to the variables that you can control, you're going to further all of those situations. You're going to further that anxiety. You're going to further not feeling well. And ultimately, you're just putting off the ability to feel good, period. And I just want to talk a little bit more about, you mentioned blood sugar, being an issue. We don't claim to be able to correct any kind of health issue. We can't do that. We don't do that. We're not doctors. But I will tell you that I have a client that's been with me now, and he is ridiculous. Like he coaches nationally, he coaches collegiately. I'm not sorry, not coaches, refs soccer. He refs collegiate soccer, he refs national soccer. He's close to 50 years old. He runs the 20 to 30-year-old guys into the ground, and he is what is the worst type of diabetic? This is your world, not mine. Type 1. He's a type 1 diabetic. He has been his entire life. He's got numbers that spike. He has to do the goos and the carbs because that's what you do to run the side of the field, right? That's what we're conditioned to think we're supposed to do, is nutrition with Debbie. And he is off of 2 of 3 of his type 1 diabetic medications. He no longer requires the use of insulin. And the third medication, they're just keeping it on because it has something else to do with his heart as well. And he's a machine, like even more of a machine than he was. His energy's up. He feels better. His weight is down. His swelling's down. His inflammation's down. His bad knee doesn't hurt as bad. All of these things. But he's been conditioned to think that's the stuff he's supposed to do. We do those starches. We do those carbs. We do all this stuff. This is a type 1 diabetic. Like, why in the world does he think that he's supposed to be doing a starch? Well, that's not his fault. It's what he's been taught. Right. And so he's willing to make the change. But think about what he's doing. He could just say, well, I'm a type 1 diabetic anyway, so I might as well take these 3 medications and I can kind of get away with some of these spikes. His doctor even said, like, he'd never seen anything like it. He'd never seen anybody get those types of drop-offs. So what I want you to talk a little bit to us about, Deb, leading out of blood sugar is just food being fuel. This is what you preach. It's on like T-shirts that we've got. It's like food equals fuel. So what else are you eating for? Like, if you're eating for anything beyond fuel, what are you eating for? So talk to us a little bit about what that means to you and how do you get that across to your clients?
I think that's, kind of a motto or a
creed.
A creed that we created with Integrity was train to live. We want you to train and physically to live your life, to live a long life, to live a satisfying life. For longevity purposes, and then we've also, the creed is also food is fuel, and that you have to have the mindset. So it's mindset first. You have to accept the fact that food is fuel. If you have not done that, and you're hanging around with people that are overweight, and you're hanging around with people that are unhealthy, and they keep continuing to give you the hey, you should be able to have just one.
But you're already doing
every now and again, you need to be able to have some fun. You're probably never really going to ever have that mindset because you're going to accept the mindset that everybody else around you has. But the mindset has to happen first. That's why we made it our creed at Integrity. You have to set yourself up to truly believe that food is a fuel source. That is the purpose of it. That is what it's intended for. It doesn't mean that I don't think you should have a birthday cake on your birthday, or that you shouldn't have a Christmas cookie on Christmas Day, or that you shouldn't have mashed potatoes on Thanksgiving. I 100% think you should have all of those things. Those are traditions. Those are celebrations. Those are family events. But those are also 5 days out of the year. And if you're trying to make a life where you have those items 3 days out of the week, 4 days out of the week, every day at 2:00, you're just not going to achieve optimal health. I mean, you're not. You're going to be like he was. You're going to be on 3 different medications as a type 1 diabetic. You're going to think that's the way things should be. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I'm supposed to be on 3 medications. Not really. Honestly, he could be off of the other medication, just literally keeping him on it from a heart perspective. It has nothing to do with his blood sugar anymore. There are so many people that I've witnessed in 25 years that don't even touch medications anymore. This is psych meds. This is blood pressure meds. This is blood sugar meds, acid reflux medication, medication for ulcers, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, medications for autoimmune conditions to downregulate a person's immune system. Food changes so much.
Yeah.
It can kill parasites. It can kill bacteria. It can kill yeast. But if you don't have the mindset that what you're eating and when you're eating and how you're eating it is what's going to control, it's basically going to be the compass. It's going to lead you through your day successfully. You probably won't really ever catch on to this. And that's honestly what I should have went to college for, was psychology, because when I meet with people, I teach them science. We go through literally 60 minutes of science, but that 30 minutes of psychology where I'm creating a pattern of discipline, I'm instructing them on how to change their mind, how to shift their mind, and how to look at things. That's the true win there. That's how you're going to actually truly win the race, is when you accept that and you flip the switch and you say, I'm done with living this way. I'm done with feeling tired all the time. I'm done with migraines. I'm done with allergies. I'm done with the digestive issues and the bloating and the acne and all that comes with imbalances in my food. And when I go to the doctor, none of them talk to me about my food. They just hand me a medication. Sorry to hear that, but I'm talking to you about your food right now, and I'm telling you, your doctor is not at fault. You are at fault because you're not finding another option. Your doctor went to college and spent $300,000 on the tuition, and he was not, or she was not, taught about nutrition. If you have a doctor that is referring you to me, keep that doctor. That is a very good doctor. If you have a doctor that is trying to get you on an anti-inflammatory diet, keep that doctor. They are going against the grain. They are actually not really insured to give you that advice because they're not educated to give you that advice. They're going outside the guardrails to truly try to help you get healing. Okay. When I was at my worst, on my deathbed, I went to 2 registered dietitians at 2 different hospitals. I followed their plan meticulously. I went from 85 pounds to 150 pounds. I had never been over 110 in my life, and I was dying at a fast pace. Finally, after 22 doctors, I went to a homeopathic MD, Dr. Christian Wessling, and he said, "What are you eating and what is your blood type?" We told him what I was eating. He said, "You were eating everything wrong." And we said, "That's impossible." We hired 2 dietitians, and he said, "It's all wrong." Within a week, I had quit my job. I had been unemployed for 2 years and sick. Within a week, I could walk down the stairs by myself. I could drive a car by myself. I started to function again. In that timeline, I lost 20 pounds in a month just by changing my food because I was on all the wrong foods. Guys, it's mindset. There's so many different programs out there for following macros or for following, ketogenic diet or for following paleo or for following. I'm not saying any of those are wrong. What I'm saying is if your mind is not equipped and set up to believe that your food is the fuel source for change, for longevity, for success, for a controlled mindset, for a good relationship, for a strong work ethic, that's what's going to make you successful. If your mind is not set around that, I don't care what diet you're following. I don't care what it is. You won't be successful because you will always shrink back. You will always fall back to those foods that provide you with some source of pleasure or enjoyment and yet make you very sick at the same time. And I don't want that for you. I pray and believe for breakthrough. I pray this is a dramatic seed being planted in you. And John and I are so passionate about this. We want your life to change. Change that mindset and it will change everything. If you're struggling with that, that is what we do at Integrity. We have a 6-month nutrition program that you do with myself. We can help you change that mindset. For more information on that, you can take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free, healthy baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com. They have chicken and turkeys as well.
Welcome back, everybody. John and Debbie Morris with Integrity Training Systems on Real Talk 93.3. Talking a lot to you today about food being fuel. Talked about blood sugar, And I just want to talk about an analogy here real quick, just to kind of maybe drive home if you're kind of confused on, well, I've been told that I can do a macro nutrition profile, or I've been told that I can, everything in moderation, which is the most nonsensical thing I've ever heard. Everything in moderation. Just think about that. I mean, you're not saying food in moderation. You're saying everything. So like if you have a little bit of heroin, that's okay. Just don't do a lot of it, right? Like if you have a little bit of violence, you punch someone in the face every once in a while, that's fine. Just don't do a lot of it. Like food's the same way. I mean, if you're eating something garbage, that's not moderation. The only moderation you could potentially try to sell would be what Debbie was saying, like you're having something on your birthday. But even that doesn't mean you're having something all day for your birthday. You also made a comment about Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's like so many people, it's like have something on Thanksgiving that you wouldn't normally have. Have the pecan pie, whatever. Enjoy yourself. That's, that's going to be something you have. It's tradition. You have the time with your family. You open that up. That's fine. You're going to do the same thing on Christmas. That's fine. The problem is most people, the reason we don't broadcast that, the reason we don't sit and tell everybody that comes in our office, go ahead and have that on Thanksgiving, is because most people then blow Thanksgiving to Christmas. It's not Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's Thanksgiving to Christmas. But since Christmas is only a week away from the end of the year, might as well blow that too, right? We'll get started January 1st. Well, now you're a month out of 12 behind. That's the problem. But I want to talk about a super sweet ride I used to have. It was an 86 Firebird. And I keep telling Deb I'm going to get another one because...
Sending me pictures of them.
Yeah, because I mean, I was kind of cool in it, like I had my subwoofers and my, hey, listen, don't be a hater. Okay, it was pretty cool. And on top of it being super cool, the gas gauge didn't work, which was also super cool since I got like 9 miles to a gallon because I had a built up engine and it was really fast. It was actually a pretty cool car, but I did not get good gas mileage. I had a general concept of how far I could drive before I ran out of gas, but I didn't know exactly how far I could go without running out of gas. So there's quite a few times I actually ran out of gas, and it was pretty crappy. Your body is the same way. You do not have a fuel gauge. The only thing that's going to happen when you start to run out of fuel is your check engine light's going to come on. Your check oil light's going to run on. You're going to bottom out, and then you're going to go looking for fuel. And when you go looking, your brain is going to tell you, just get whatever you can get in here. Like, let's just get something in here. That's the cravings that you're going to have. And so if you actually regulate your blood sugar, if you regulate what you're consuming, if I had stopped every 50 miles, which would have been an inconvenience, and put fuel in my tank, I never would have had to have worried about running out. Being inconvenienced by food and letting that be the reason you choose to live unhealthily is probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard that you can do. I mean, I deal with anxiety, I deal with depression. Like, I'm not going to allow myself to continue to do that because I don't feel like handling my food. I mean, we were just talking on break about the rise in ADD, ADHD, bipolarism, depression, anxiety, diabetes, cancer. Like, I can go on and on and on, the rise in it, and what's interesting is I keep seeing all these reports that, well, it's always been that bad. We just now are able to report it more. That's not true at all. Like, you can go back and look at the fact that we've been reporting this stuff for hundreds of years. But the Bible says that there's nothing new under the sun. Like, we're dealing with the same animals here. We're fighting the same problems. And I find it so fascinating. We were talking in the last segment about like getting people off medications, things that they no longer require. Like, food is a medication. Chinese medicine is huge for that. They actually use herbs and minerals and spices and foods to actually treat health issues, and it works. It's like God's provided a lot of things that can help with different health issues. And in the best case that I wanted to mention this last segment that I watched Debbie do as far as someone coming off medication was she had a guy that was paranoid schizophrenic. Actually, two of them. They both did well. One did really well. Lived in his parents' basement. He was, 30-something years old, ran on Mountain Dew and Skittles, and like his brain craved this stuff. I mean, it craved this stuff. Running on nothing but pure sugar, caffeine, garbage ingredients, talked to himself, heard voices, the whole 9 yards. Couldn't function, didn't function in society. In his 30s, I think. I can't remember. I think I said that. And his parents are like, we don't know what to do. Someone told us that maybe you could help us, have him eat different. Changed his food, got him off the energy drinks, got him off the soda, got him off the candy, got him off the garbage, started feeding him right. He got a job, was able to go out in public, quit hearing voices, and moved out and got his own house. Like, oh, okay. So this guy's taking medication to help with paranoid schizophrenia. It's not helping. He's living in his parents' basement. He's completely not a part of society, and we change his food, and now he can be.
He actually had to start taking a considerable amount less of medication just simply because it actually started working against him.
Correct.
The amount of medication he was taking.
And so that's the whole thing, is it balances out. I'll give you another example of that. You had someone that was extremely, extremely hyper, like they were extremely hyper, and you changed their food. They were on a mega dose of medication for anxiety and being hyper. And you told them, you said, hey, listen, like you're going to change your food. The way you're eating now versus the way you're going to be eating, you need to go ahead and call your doctor today and get out ahead of this thing, because your medication is going to start hitting different. You know, you may end up even being low or depressed. And she's like, I've never been depressed a day in my life. She talked like this fast. This is how she ran around. I'm not running. Like, I'm not, you know, and Debbie's like, okay, well, just so you know. So a week later, she calls Debbie and she's crying. And she's like, I can't get out of bed. You know, I don't know if I want to be alive anymore. And Debbie's like, did you call your doctor? And she's like, no. And she's like, you got to call your doctor. Like, your medication is depressing you. Like, you cannot, you were medicated for the way you were eating and it still wasn't highly efficient. You didn't feel well, but you're now going to have to medicate for where you are. You're back to a baseline. So she calls her doctor, and the doctor says that they can't get her in for, it was like 8 weeks or something like that, and to just go back to eating the way she was eating. And so the girl's like, I'm not going back to eating the way I was eating.
Doctor was on vacation, couldn't get her in for 2 weeks.
Oh, was it 2?
So
I remember it was really long. Go back
food.
to the old food. That's what it was. Okay, so
until
that's
I
the
get
right
back
story.
in town.
2 weeks until I get back in town. Now, here's the thing, though. She felt really bad on the old food. That's why she came. And she's like, I don't want to go back to that. Short of feeling like I don't want to get out of bed, I actually feel good. Like, I actually, like, my stomach doesn't hurt. My brain doesn't hurt, you know. And so she decided on her own that she was going to cut her medication in half. And she did that, and she felt phenomenal. And then she worked with her doctor to continue to completely get her off the medication. She's been medication free ever since. So my point is, when you're dealing with this stuff, medicine has a purpose for sure. Like, don't get me wrong. I have medication I have to take because I've reached my baseline and there's still something that's out of whack. That's that brain trauma I'm talking about, not being able to control.
You know, but even so, you've lost 40 pounds. And
right.
I've even questioned here recently if you're not a little bit over-medicated.
Sure.
I've even questioned that.
Sure.
Because you took caffeine out, and when you took caffeine out and then you completely changed your food.
Yeah.
I've even wondered recently
I went
if you're not
a little bit
dose,
lower because I went 13
know.
days without caffeine, but then I brought caffeine back in and it's balanced back out. I'm just moderating that.
Yeah.
I'm making sure that I'm staying, even my brain doctor had said originally that she didn't want me going over 250 to 300 milligrams a day. Well, I used to drink an energy drink that was 300. And then what I would bring in above that was, ridiculous.
Just
and then
the factor that it's going to change.
And then I came off of that. And so I since just went to coffee, to be healthier, but I was still drinking 5 or 6 cups. I was still breaching that 300, 400, 500 range. And I went to 0. And I did that for 13 days and I didn't feel better. But the thing about caffeine is when done right, caffeine's not inherently actually bad for you. So putting myself back into a position where I have 2 cups a day has my medication rolling the way it needs to be again. But if I were going to come off of it, I would have to go to my doctor and I'd have to say I have to relieve this. But that's a battle of mine. That's, not to get super in deep with that, but I work 16-hour days. So having 2 cups of coffee actually does kind of produce a little bit of longevity to my day. And help with that. So I think that's the balance I need to be at. The reason I quit is I'm an addict. I have an addicted personality. So if you get me on something like everybody's like, you ought to try a marijuana gummy, man. They help you sleep at night because I have trouble sleeping. I'm like, if I have a marijuana gummy, I'm going to put a dispensary out of business because I'm going to have a million of them. I'm an addict. It's what I do. So I get addicted to coffee. I have 20 cups of coffee a day. It's like, so I have to find that balance. But I'm regulated now. Mindset, like Deb said, I've got the mindset for it. I've done 2 cups a day now for about 7 days. I've been doing it for 7 days now, and we're good to go. But question where you are in your health. Have you found your baseline? Are you eating inflammatory foods? Are you eating high histamine producing foods? Are you eating things that aren't making you well and then balancing it with a medication? Or have you found the baseline to feel the best you can, doing all of the elements you can control, and then needing medication beyond that? That's what we do. We help you find that baseline.
Yeah, we're happy to help you with that. For more information on our 6-month nutrition program, take a look at integritytrainingsystems.com or give us a call at 636-299-2208. For gluten-free, dairy-free baked goods delivered to your door from my personal bakery, take a look at sophiesbakery.com. And for 100% grass-fed beef, the only meat that the Morris family will eat, take a look at fedfromthefarm.com. They also have chicken and turkey. God bless you all. Thank you for listening.